Well, good evening once again. Welcome to the office of me, State Representative Bill Post, House District 25. Well, I'll tell you what. Okay, the last 2 weeks of my life as your state representative have gone a little bit long. Okay, I'm seriously, they were like 16 and a half minutes long. So we're going to try to keep this to 10 minutes. All right, 10 minutes. All right. So I actually wrote notes to myself to try to stay on task a little bit. You know what I mean? So we're going to try to stay on task. This was a very interesting week. There's no reason for me to go over the news stories of the week because you know the news stories of the week. What you don't know, and the purpose of this video always is my life as your state representative. What would it be like if you were here in this office and down on that floor and over in that room over there and all those sorts of things? So I'm trying to explain a little bit of what that's like. So I'm going to give you some examples of some things that I've learned this week that perhaps are new from last week. For instance, it's really good to have knowledge of the rules of the House floor. Now, I'm going to give you an example. And the example is this. What am I talking about? So today on the House floor, we debated House Bill 2177, also known as the Motor Voter Bill. In wonderful debate, Democrats, Republicans, back and forth, giving the reasons why they support or oppose the bill. Came to the part where I decided that I wanted to say something, and it's called a floor speech. And there's a protocol and a decorum and a way in which you do this. You don't just stand up and raise your hand. It's not British Parliament, okay? Oh, I say that's wrong. They couldn't do that. It's not that. We're civilized here, unlike the British. No offense to the Brits. Anyway, so we have there's a protocol. So you push your little button on your desk. And by the way, just so you know, each of us on the floor have a desk, and one of the buttons is yay and one is nay, and then one says talk. I think it says talk. I don't know. It's the button you push that says talk. Anyway, you push that, okay? That puts you in a queue up on the speaker's desk, and then, they go in the order of the queue on who was going to speak next. So here comes my turn. And if you want, by the way, if you go to this same channel, my YouTube channel, or if you go to Bill Post for Oregon on Facebook or Twitter, you can watch the video of what I said today. So I don't want to talk about what I said, but what I want to tell you about is an instance that happened while I was talking. So while I was talking, I was trying to make a point about how easy it is to register to vote, and I held up my phone, and it was like, blah, 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 on your phone. What I did not know is, by House rules and by the protocol, I was supposed to say, and Madam Speaker, I would like to ask your permission if I can use a visual aid right now. And then she would say, I assume she would say, Representative Post, yes, you may go ahead and use a visual aid. Then I hold up my visual aid and make my point. I did not do that. I didn't know you were supposed to do that. I didn't get in trouble, but I did get told by a couple of people you were supposed to ask permission. So that's number one. And then number two was, there's again an order in how you do things. So in this case, somebody carries the bill, so they read the basics behind the bill and why they're in support of it, and then begins the discussion from everybody else, which is you can either say I have a question to the carrier, which would be the person that was talking about the bill, or I have a question to the bill. So you say, Madam Speaker, to the carrier, or you say, Madam Speaker, to the bill. And if you have a question for the carrier, you do it first, then you do to the bill. Then you can come back and say to the carrier again. You can ask a question to the carrier. What I did today was I said to the bill, and so I began my little speech about the bill. Later on, I came back and I had a question for the carrier. That was an improper procedure. I wasn't supposed to do that. So I had to redirect it and say to the bill. But it really was a question to the carrier. Anyway, I'm sorry if that's really boring, but you got to learn this stuff. So when I say my life as your state representative, if you were here in my shoes, you probably would have faced the same thing. Oops, when am I supposed to ask the question? One of the other things that I want to tell you about, and maybe I've spoken about it a little bit before, but for me, a really cool thing, a really valuable thing is we have something called the House Member Lounge. And really, it's a fancy name for it's a cafeteria for those of us who are in the House. And we can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner in there if you want. Now, we pay for it. Each one of us who choose to sign up for it, we pay a fee. So it's not free, and it's not on the taxpayer dime in any way. We pay for it. It comes out of our paycheck. But the food is great. But what's really cool about it is nobody else is allowed in there. No staff, no lobbyists, the public, nobody. It's just state reps. And I call it a sanctuary. It's a place where you can kind of go breathe a little bit, eat your lunch or your breakfast or whatever it might be, or a snack, and converse with other people and talk about other things. There's kind of an unwritten rule in there. It's not always held to, but kind of an unwritten rule of we're not going to talk about bills and policy and stuff. Let's talk about our kids, our grandkids, our baseball team, our basketball team, go Ducks, whatever it might be. So I really enjoy that. I have my breakfast and my lunch there every day, and I really enjoy that time to be with Democrats and Republicans. You find out who people they're really just people. Of course, the news this week was, and to tell you what it was like to be in this building, 2 inaugurations in 6 weeks. Because you had John Kitzhaber 7 weeks ago, whatever it was, and then our new governor, Kate Brown, here this week. That was really weird. I mean, it was one thing to be able to be a part of whether you care for the person that's being inaugurated or not, that's not the point. It's still pretty cool to be able to be on the House floor and be a part of the inauguration process. But then to do it again 6 weeks later, that was really weird. I have to tell you, that was really strange. A couple of things that stand out this week that I saw in my committees. If you didn't know, I sit on the Judiciary Committee, and I sit on what's called the Rural Communities Land Use and Water Board. Let me give you 2 examples of what we hear. So people come and they testify on behalf or opposed to a bill that we're hearing that day in your committee. This week in my Judiciary Committee, I was able to, we had some actual constituents, some Kaiser folks came. I'm not going to tell you the whole story because it's a really long story, but really a horrible story of sex offender. And I was so proud of the young lady and her mother and a couple of friends and some other people that testified about some just horrific crime that was committed. And it was really something, and it was one of those wipe the tears moment to hear them testify and know, they're folks from my hometown. And it was just, it was neat to be a part of that. And I hope that those bills are going to move forward. There was a couple of bills that were involved. On the other hand, something that wasn't anything to do with my district, but was also interesting, was in my Rural Communities committee the other day. There was a situation, we were talking about a bill. Okay, so right now, if you're a landowner, and let's say a guy in a private airplane flies over and has him make an emergency landing, or he just wants to land for whatever reason, and you have a nice strip of land out there, or maybe you even have an airstrip or a gravel road or a dirt road or whatever it might be in the middle of your land. In Oregon, and I'm really simplifying this, but in Oregon, if that plane comes down and lands and somebody trips over a berry bush or whatever, the landowner is liable. So we had a bill that was looking to change that and make it okay that as part of recreational activity, aircraft, hot air balloons, hang gliders, various different air vehicles of some sort, the landowner would not be liable if something happens on their land. And it would open up all kinds of great equal or financial opportunities and all kinds of great things, but it also is just common sense. So we heard testimony from all kinds of different landowners telling you how it would just be a real burden off of their backs if we could allow them to not be liable for these things. And I had to ask some very simple questions. As you know, I'm a fairly simple guy. And I hope that you, again, will go to my YouTube page or Bill Post for Oregon and look at the question that I asked the chief lobbyist for the trial lawyers, because the only people that would lose in this are trial lawyers. As in, we can't sue anybody if you take this away. Oh, my goodness. That was fun. Well, all right. I promised I'd keep this to 10 minutes, and we're at 9:25, so I'm going to hang her up right now. But it's been a really good week. It really is. And I'm proud to be your state representative, and I'm trying as much as I can to go, oh, hang on, stop. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. Did we win any big battles? No, not really. But, we're holding our own here. And so I hope you'll continue to support all of us here in this building that are working hard for you. If you want to get a hold of me, please email repbill@billpost.us. That's repbill@billpost.us, or call our office here, 503-986-1425. This is your home. This is your office. This is your building. Come see me sometime. Otherwise, I hope you have a great weekend and a great week, and I hope you'll share this with your friends, and I hope that it's helpful, and I hope that it makes your day better. All right? So have a great weekend.